Guten Morgen. Auf Wiedersehen. What's going on, guys? So, more strange dreams. This one was really strange. It was like I became third person in like a psychiatric interview kind of thing. It was a woman dressed in like a fairy princess outfit, probably younger than me, like I want to say like early teens, like in like some kind of therapy type interview. And she's like, oddly, was like uh, learning about the same stuff, but clearly was like not having it. It was like pouting and like, yes, I know this thing, and it's funny, man. Every generation we go through this growing up, learning, making mistakes, correcting them, growing, and it really, uh, if you look at it with the right lens, kind of illustrates the nature of God's eternality and then the ever changing illusion. And like we have to keep growing and dying and learning over and over, versus God can just be the panopticon and like just kind of laugh along and watch it all turn and mold and fold over itself. But it allows for a much more playful reality. Uh, we have a issue with being too stern and not taking like things too seriously almost. It's kind of like you pick a flower and you want it to last forever because it's so gorgeous, and you're like, do not die. You put it in a book and you fold on it and do everything you can to preserve it, but it's gonna age and decay. And instead of contributing to the immortal form and like, so we have this life, we live this, yada yada yada, it comes, it goes, it doesn't really change. But if you find a way to, so the way I look at this is like, if you go to a university, if you go to a university, you can set up like your own uh, path and degree. Like there's this guy Jeffrey Mishlove, who's like one of the only accredited parapsychologists, but that was done through the university system and like crafting his own um, PhD. And you can do that same thing in a spiritual aspect. Like, so I went through divine judgment. Still, it's ever, once you start it, it goes every day. It never stops. And you can fit yourself in any way that you can think to make yourself fit. Like if uh, like the way I justified my stance and why I had a fall from grace is like I'm learning and I'm an archivist, and like I'm just studying the nature of things from past to present and watching it all unfold. And I don't have a will too much one way or the other. Like I'm purely like observing. And some people, I'm realizing, if you want to be like, yes, I'm going to be a mogul, and I want to have a giant business, that's needed in the world, and God will provide for that and like allow that to happen. And just in the same way, there are like people probably unconsciously that are like, I'm gonna be evil, and like that's allowed for, and like that doesn't take away any consequences that might occur from taking that path. Just the same as like it's against the law to drink and drive, but you still can. And when you wrap around that tree, there's gonna be those consequences, but a lot of people still do it anyway. And we need to become much more creative and like willing to uh, think outside the box for our place in the world. Because the way I'm looking at things is like we're clearly going to be running out of like stuff to explore, new places to explore, stuff to build. It becomes much more a task of like conservation and keeping the whole system going for like, if we could keep it going for another 100 years, like not 100 years, a couple 100 years, that would be legit. I mean, by the nature of civilization and empires and the way cosmic forces work, there's never will be like an eternal kingdom on the ground. There's gonna be like uh, changes in perspectives and like, so there's a famine period for 50 years, and like everybody has to like really work on food side of things, and then like there's a freaking asteroid problem, so now we gotta like really work on planetary defense, and then like all these different, like the cosmic game and the forces of God are totally impersonal, and a lot of people have a perspective that like they have any control of it whatsoever, or like that you have to become like a those people that it's like dancing but with swords, whatever that is. It's like that, and you gotta like dance and flow and play defense and freaking on guard and off guard and ooh, that ain't good, and things like that. And in that happening, the the role of the archivist is almost one of the most stable, because you know how many books have been written in the past 1,000 years that are just no longer thought about at all, and like how many people that have not been mentioned or thought about in that period of time, and like our conscious awareness on certain things will produce certain outcomes. So like uh, a lot of people in like crisis situations will like panic or like, let's go even more zoomed out. So say like we have a life of like 70 years on average, a lifespan, and you're like me, you're 30, and you've spent most of your life screwing around, and you're like, well, now I'm probably not gonna get as smooth of a. I'm not gonna. It's not gonna be the normal path anymore. So like, you got to make alterations in your realistic outlook on like how your life is gonna go. Like, man, it's rough to. If I really felt it and saw it and saw my life path, I'd probably just freaking be crushed. But I'm able to like observe it, trying to practice my detachment to it and just watch it go by. Because not everybody wins. Not everybody wins. And with the amount of bad luck and karma I'm working through, this is not going to be a winning life. The best thing I can do is just kind of hang on, uh, enjoy what I have while I have it, and stay floating. Kind of, it's like Titanic moment. The ship already sank, and you got your little freaking chunk of table you're floating on, and yeah, it could get so much worse. But I got to remember that too. That it's only getting worse. Gotta do some damage control. But in this position of archivist, uh, it allows for like we're totally blessed with the internet, and like I'm not a very gung ho leader type. I have ideas and things, but like I could never make somebody follow a certain path. I can only be like, here's this way or this way, or I can only illuminate so far. And the biggest thing is like keeping the faith, and the uh, Gurdjieff called it the horror of the situation. And why are you stopping? Okay, we'll play a new one. The terror of the situation, which is kind of like
Here is a simple
the
remote job you can start with
the horrors that humanity is in, because like everybody's in their own reality tunnel, and nobody really looks out for each other. There is some of that, but like in the grand scheme, it's very DIY. It's very do it yourself. And like in taking this God's archivist kind of position, it's even more terrifying because like when you look the long view and like the evolution of, so like most certainly there is reincarnation. It's not like somebody gets sent someplace else and is there eternally. uh, I think people get out and they enter the next phase and they don't come back, but there are people who reincarnate and come back regularly. And I think when you start looking at the world from that angle, you understand like how many of the really best and brightest and strongest died in the world wars, and then we get like the greediest riffraff that like really found that like you know basically just got like the most crooked people that survived in a lot of cases. It's uh, altered because of like each new generation that's born has their own ideas and views, but uh, like you can tell, like leading up to the baby boomers, they're like the strongest and most like hard-headed go-getters, and like since we haven't had like an incredibly traumatic like global war, people have kind of softened up to our more natural state, and like there's this weird clash of like people that are just trying to be people and not like there's all this talk about like alphas, man, be alpha, be a man. Ugh. And like what does that even fucking really mean? what do, who gives a fuck if you're an alpha? I do not give a flying fuck if you can beat the shit out of me or like beat me in an argument. We're in this mess together. Call me Gamma Goblin or something. Sigma Gamma. And like I forget, I don't know where I was going with that. The generational differences. Like no alpha ever wrote a book. Well, maybe an Ernest Hemingway, you know, or like alphas are just like the most standard issue human there is, and like yeah, you need that, and that's what keeps society rolling and turning. But like the the whole gamut of people, like I am very happy there are betas out there who are like uh, passive and not, you know, I don't need to go out every single day and run into an asshole and almost get in a fight and like have to be on guard all the time and be like freaking I need to be ripped just to walk into town and like I accidentally look at some guy's girl and he's like, "What the fuck are you looking at?" I don't need that every single day. And the world culture actually needs less of that and more like because there's definitely such thing as like healthy betas that are just like passive and they just like do their own thing and that's good. And like religion is a very beneficial thing in the world until you start having people with like alpha mentalities being like, my God is king and my God is the one God. Especially when like if you if you took the time to find the truth, you would realize they're all true. They didn't exist for, you know, hundreds of years for no reason. And there's good periods and bad periods. Christianity, I mean, this is why I have such a hard time with Christianity. Is it's real, and like the power of Christ is real, but there's like the dark colonial Inquisition crusader mentality that's like you want to talk about some of the darkest, most demonic shit that has been done in the name of Christianity. Like the darkest things in the world can happen from people trying to help you out and trying to make things better. And that is no exaggeration and poor example. Like that is the prime example of that. Like in order to be like uh, an evangelist in like a healthy way, you have to be incredibly subtle about it. And it's like leading a horse to water. You can't make it drink, but you can be. Horse will probably drink if you're gentle and you don't have it on edge. But like the militaristic and evangelism of like, you're gonna go to hell, boy, and these people like the preachers, I imagine like the KKK types and like the freaking militant Christians. How can you call yourself a Christian and be acting like that? Like, thank God we don't have that now. Uh, but like that's deep in my consciousness of like I love Christ, not gonna take part in any church stuff like that ever. Too much bad blood in my blood memory for that. And that's kind of the thing of like the kingdom of the illusion on earth versus the eternality of like the formless. If people took time to get outside of the book and study the mystics of their religions and the people who actually did the connection to God, who got the books written and got the theology down, you start to understand they're all talking in very similar language about very similar things about, you know, each each religion has a different aspect to it that gathers a different eternal truth. And I think every single religion is highly necessary. Like even the pagans and stuff have a very like pagans particularly have the greatest elemental connection to the earth. Like they have the best handle on the illusion itself. Like religions have a great idea on the formless and what we're working to get to and out of. They're very bad at enforcing the worldly processes because it becomes like you can't the fighting wars over something that's invisible doesn't work out. Fighting wars of form for the formless doesn't work out because it just creates hard lines and divisions. But if you work through the knowledge channels and like because all religions are about peace at the end of the day, all of them are about peace and how they justify like massive wars in their name, holy wars, is like the biggest contradiction. And I think that's kind of the horror of the situation is like how obnoxiously incorrect so much of what goes on is. There's like a lot of data corruption that needs to be like pointed out and uh, commented on. Like I will not walk with blind faith. I experienced it, so I have gnosis now, so I have knowledge of it. But before that, I was not a peep about religion. And yeah, yeah, and like the way the book is followed matters. I think the big difference between the Israelites and Christians is Christianity is kind of like the people's religion, because nobody in their right mind wants to live like a true, like the Jews. The way they live is incredibly rigorous and like legalistic, and it's for like the elite in a way, like the elite religious people, because like you have 613 commandments, and like the whole calendar is holy. Like every single day of your life is dedicated to that religion. Versus like Christianity, you go in Sunday, you go to church, you know. It's kind of like the everyman's religion. I mean, and like Islam, like they pray 5 times a day. That's much more dedication. Yeah, the horror of the situation, man. Is nobody gets any good instructions. Nobody lets you know how it's done. Uh, you learn after it's too late, and pretty much like you only learn after you cross that bridge. And yeah, gotta loosen up. Got hit by a mad bad energy there. Oh, oh, oh. Yeah, I'm starting to get like an eye twitch that does not go away. It's been so stressed for so long. The fucking stress effect. And when you really like, when you really start seeing like the structure of reality and like how like watery and moldable it is, it's freaking terrifying. Like I think as humans we've found a way to just like cordon that off and be like materiality, man, because this is too crazy if I like really like examine it and dive in. And yeah, man, I'm just realizing how much I've been procrastinating on life. Uh, oh, yeah, weird. I'm channeling something really weird right now. Uh, Yeah, really weird. Like I don't know what this is. Let's see if I can get my conscious mind back online. Um, yeah, I've totally gone blank. Might leave it there. I'll get a book out. Ha. All right. We're talking about form and formlessness. Ethernet. Oh, yeah. Right. So, like, the the way that in the illusion that we live in, it's very necessary to like every generation somebody's got to be studying, relearning, recovering the same old ground, and like hardening that information into the collective consciousness. And it's really important to do that because like if one person reads one book one time, the chances of that book being remembered unless it's picked up and read again is zero. And so the Bible has been read so many times and is so well uh, covered over that I was able to actually read the Bible without actually having the book. And I don't own a Bible. I've never read a Bible, but I'm able to like quote verses on occasion, like when I need to. Not even when I need to, but like I'll have intuitive like readings of passages, and like that's the role of the archivist, is like to be able to identify places where certain information is like, okay, so say like right now we're dealing with like an overflow of dark energy in the sphere, and in order to combat that dark energy we need to return to studying and like praise and kind of like recenter and allow for like purging of that negative force that's like overriding, and then from there things will improve. And then let's say uh, we're in like a really good period and like we're riding the highest peaks, and like uh, there's tons of like ecstatic ecstasy energy. You'll need to bring down the waveform so that like people don't go insane and like burn out, and like you have to bring down uh, the intensity. Otherwise, like you'll have like maniacs burning out and freaking going wild and like riots and shit. Like I think uh, we had like a bunch of sports riots like in the early 2000s. Like I haven't seen a sports riot in a while, and like that happens from like an overabundance of ecstatic energy and like people having fun and like that kind of thing. And I think that also explains like the shootings at concerts and stuff, is like people be having so much fun and then there's like one whack job that's like fucked up in the head, and it's like, I'm not having fun, it's time to blast. And like you have to the the waveform of the natural Jesus cat of the natural energy has to be balanced out based on like the signs of the times. And so like right now we were at kind of like I would say in 2019, 2018 was actually pretty good. Like there's a lot of chaos from like Trump getting in office and everything, but the nation was doing great. And now like we're in a state of like deep darkness. Like COVID didn't really bother me. I still lived my life and was like, fuck all this. But now I'm seeing like the shadow element that got built up from people being locked in their houses and being stuck alone and like analyzing themselves, and not even necessarily analyzing themselves, but like the shadow really like bubbled up. And now it's like, oh my God, this is what people were dealing with. Like, ugh, ugh. And now we got to like kind of pickaxe our way out of this weird dark shell that's kind of hardened over the collective consciousness. And that's kind of the role of bringing the formless into the form world, is like the, the the chaotic waves that will crash in, or whatever energy it happens to be. You have to compensate on like a collective level. So like right now there's like tons of people that need a lot of like mental health uh, support and stuff like that, because people were dying and we were locked in our houses and like all this. And so like Jesus, cat, stop it, please. He's, oh my God, sorry, a little balloon of dark energy there. Oh, no, I could get. Oh man, and I think a lot of this is like what just happened there is like I've been so comfortable for so long, and life has been so easy that like my tolerance is just shrunk down to like a very small. Like like if I was in like a command center, I would be like at peak stress, man. Freaking. But yeah, analyzing the collective energy forms and like thought forms is very crazy. And we're at a period of like we got to do some serious healing from COVID, and I don't think people quite understand like the effect that the lockdowns had, and really fucked people, really fucked our shit up. And we'll come out of it. I mean, it's very surprising the economy is still going decently well, and I think crypto actually filled in a gap there and was able to like like if we didn't have the internet and stuff, dude, the freaking economy would have been dog shit. Would have been freaking game over, man. But yeah. Oh, this is the other thing. People have a lot of hate for billionaires, but like that's who's paying your wages. You're not getting wages from the government. You have taxes to pay. And like one of the dumbest arguments of like the communist viewpoint is like the like how billionaires are like evil and shit like that. And like the other alternative is you're a slave to the government and you earn the same wage as everyone else, and you go to a bread line. Doesn't work, man. Doesn't work, man. It could work if. So I actually heard a really interesting rabbi talk about how communism would work if people like uh, still like if they had like a religious motive. So communism might have worked if there was still like a religious motive where you're working for something that's beyond yourself, and uh, like so the problem in Russia, for example, was like everybody got paid the same period. So like some people just didn't do shit for their job because who cares, and that's kind of what collapsed it. And if you were gonna have a government that was like a what do you call a religious government? What is that called? Uh, a theocracy. So communism might work as a communist theocracy, but the problem was is that they threw out the religion in Russia and China. And the way China's been able to get it to kind of work is they make it a capitalist uh, communist society. So there's still capitalism involved. So like everybody gets paid differently based on their work output. But a communist theocracy might actually be one of the best forms of government in the future when everything's so built out, and like if we want to have the kingdom of heaven on earth, that's kind of how it would work. Like we're all working in the name of God for God in like a hierarchical system based on like merit. And yeah, that's very interesting. I've never thought about that. Because people always talk about governmental systems being like politics and economics, but they rarely bring up the theocratic part. But like as we get more spiritually evolved and people return to their faith out of materialism, and like we have hard evidence of like these spiritual truths, a theocracy will become more healthy than it would have been, say, like in the Spanish times during the Inquisition, which was a theocracy, I think. But like, and I guess Iran right now would be a Islamic theocracy, roughly, and that's a very dangerous thing because there's very little freedom in Islam. Like I really appreciate the writings and teachings of Islam, but the way that it comes down on earth is, I guess you got to grow up in it to understand. I think like the Wahhabists kind of have more secular uh, Islam than than I'm not even sure where fundamental like ISIS type Islam reigns. Yeah, I don't know too much about uh, Islamic nations. Yes, kitty cat. But anyway, I'm getting pretty hungry. I think I might cut this off in a second. Kitty cat. Meow. You're such a bother when I'm making videos. Trying to make a video. Ow. Yeah. I'm sure I have much more I could say, but I'm not really on the straight and narrow today. Come on, let's get 15 more minutes. Let's get an hour. Um, yeah, that dream was very interesting with that young woman. And I keep seeing this over like young people with like very uh, uh, corrupted like soul spirit complexes. Like they aren't being like raised properly, or like there's something about the culture that is like really destroying young people, really destroying young people, and it's something that should be analyzed. Like freaking social media, man, is pretty rough. Like, luckily, I'm not like into all that, but when you're a youngster and like you're just a wide open channel for stuff, like I remember when I was young, dude, I got fucked up by movies many times. Like, I'd be like in my crib. This was probably like when I first moved here, like 3 or 4. I remember watching. I was just like trying to go to sleep, and my parents were watching the movie Speed, and like it's like super intense, and I'm just like, what the fuck? And then like the dude is on top of the subway car, and his head just gets knocked off, and I'm 3, and I was like, and that shit stuck with me. And like, I can't even imagine now, like freaking parents are taking their kids in to see like Godzilla, like these fucking morons, dude. Fucking morons do not realize how desensitized they are. A, how sensitive a child is, and it's fucking rated R for a reason. You're not even supposed to show like young children that, like or like preteens. Fucking morons. Fucking idiots, dude. We're all fucking idiots, but like some is just like, God damn it, man. And it's the horror of the situation is there's nothing you can do about it. You just gotta watch it go by and just be like, ooh. I imagine that's how God feels like, man. It's like fucking, oh God. Actually, that's what I'm learning as the archivist is like you see the freaking the cesspit, the utter cesspit of like we're literally monkeys with like a touch of divine intellect, and like there's a lot more uh, animal people than there are human people. Or how do I put this? Like there as humans are on like the cusp of becoming a divine being. So we're like at the top of the animals, and like they're monkey humans that are more like apes in their spiritual development, and then they're like lower level divine, and then like sainthood, and then like then you go into non-physical beings, and like it might be that I'm just devolving and I'm falling back into a lower soul class, and ugh, oh God. See, it's very strange. I can't tell whether I'm evolving or devolving. And I'm at this weird, like, I'm right on the fulcrum. And, like, I keep bringing up like this. I never saw myself as evil, but I'm just like definitely like in my karma line. Like I was definitely incredibly violent, like freaking like a madman type shit. Or like just so many years of military service over and 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 over. Just like military for hundreds of years. And I'm so tired of killing at this point. Like I just like yeah. I had enough of the freaking underworld. But I keep falling back into it. I have that sense. Because even in this life, like I've had, like maybe a year or two ago, might be three now. I had like this memory. It was, or not even a memory, but like a telepathic connection. I had a lot of telepathic guides and like people like that. And this lady was like, "Remember what happened last time?" And I'm like, "What the fuck do you mean?" But it feels like I'm on a hell path. Honestly, I think I may be in hell right now, and being able to discern between the two is very hard because everything around me is still the same. There's no fire or brimstone. There's no like chaos, and there's no physical uh, way to tell that I'm in hell. But like on an energetic level, like I can feel it and sense it, and very odd. There needs to be an update to the theology of hell and sin and such. Uh, because without a doubt, there are some people that are in hell currently and are fried and crazy and just all sorts of fucked up inside. And then there are other people that are definitely in like heaven and living on a very high vibration of like joy and unity and all that. Might be the 3D, 5D split, actually. I gotta follow the law, man. I can't just quantum jump out of this freaking criminal charge. Fucking A. Yeah. Odd, ominous times. Ominous. Very ominous. Yeah, I gotta repent, find a way up out of the hole, and yeah. But I really like the freedom that I have that I'm able to like move between uh, levels, and I'm able. So like in the hell realms, there's a lot of knowledge and um, like views and really cool art and like novelty. But in the heavenly realms, it's very rigid and there's not. It's boring. Like most people would be like, "Bleh, this is so boring." I think that's why a lot of people don't like religion. Is they're like, I want to have excitement and like freedom and stuff, and like that's great and all, but it like in that place, there's a lot of room for evil to creep in. Like if we had a very rigid Christian society, like it would be marvelous, but it would be very unfree. And walking that tightrope between the two is, uh, I know I need to be moving back to Christ, and yeah, but in God's mighty kingdom, the way I look at it is that like we're crafting a place that is like the secular realm is necessary, and it's a good interface between like heavenly divine. It's like a nice mixing ground where people that are coming out of the hell realms can kind of reacclimate before like they move on up and out, and then the people that are tired of the heavenly realms, they can come down and like acclimate and decide whether they want to keep going or go back. Or that's really what this place feels like. Yeah, the whole concept purgatory is very strange. Yeah, and originally I thought like dogma was a problem, but like you want to have the good be rigid, and like you can't be bending the rules really for the light, because the darkness will pull some trickery shit and you get bad eggs in there, and then it all starts fucking up. It's much easier for darkness to corrupt light than light to repair darkness. It's a everlasting struggle, and that's where totalitarianism comes from. It's like the only way to fix the dark corruption is to get out that freaking steel hammer. What are you doing, kitty cat? What are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, anyway. Oh, my legs. Oh man. Oh, yeah, another hour. I can't wait to be done with probation in this house arrest. Let me tell you. Let me tell you, boy. Fuck. Yes, indeed, kitty cat. That was a pretty intense energy wave, wasn't it? Oh, what are you doing? What are you doing? Yeah, I think that's going to be about it. That's about an hour, and I'm going all ADD on this motherfucker. I'm lost. Yeah, maybe do another one later. Peace out.